So this is our podcast. Welcome, everyone. This is Creatures of the Night, and I'm Chris.
And I'm Wendy.
So we were just sitting here reminiscing of our week-long quarantine.
Well, some of us are quarantined.
Right. That's why I was laughing. I was going to say, actually, I've been working from home, and Wendy's hours were shortened drastically almost, and then maybe it's gotten better. So we're hoping for the best.
That's everyone in this entire world. It's not even just the country, the entire world. That's all you can do is hope for the best. And every day our hour seems different.
It is. Yeah. It's different hour by hour. But on a positive note, because I have been working from home, I now actually have a window in my office.
Yes, we talked about this. You can control the heat
as
well.
I can open up the window. We've had lots of birds. My husband, he's also working from home, so he's my cube mate. He's gotten creative with the amount of bird seed out on the porch. So we've been identifying different species of birds. And also, you know, it's always fun to watch your cat freak out over the birds, how she gets all chirpy and stuff and twitchy. So that's cool. And also I found out this week that my dog snores a ton. And she's just a little thing, guys. I've said that before. She's a miniature Dachshund. She's long, but small.
So tiny. Yeah.
She's such a tiny dog. And so I do Skype calls with my employer and my coworkers every day. And we're sitting there chatting. And then all of a sudden, my dog she snorts too. Maybe I'm making too much noise because I'm interrupting her sleep time.
You're interrupting her dreams and whatnot.
Yeah. So I'm like chatting about what's going on, you know, with my workload. And then the dog is just like, and I'm like, seriously, that was my dog, not me.
They're like, Chris is really too relaxed.
Well, it's so funny because we were just also talking about how sensitive our mics are. I tried to switch back to my rig tonight, but it was picking up the fridge and the water heater. So the mic from my headset doesn't pick up that much, but apparently you can still hear the dog grunting and groaning as she's trying to get her daily nap on.
Oh, that's the mic that you used for your Skype calls?
Yep.
That's kind of crazy. And they still heard the dog. She is snoring loud.
She is. Well, it's cute. You know, everyone has these moments when they realize that their dog is in doggy dream world, right? Where they're like yelping or they're looking like they're running and they're sneezing or something. And you just want to watch. But then my husband's like, wake up, Lexi. I'm like, no, that was probably like the best dream she's had all week. She was probably chasing after birds or cats, or maybe she was getting the biggest dog bone she's ever gotten in her life. And you just interrupted her.
That's so funny that you bring that up. My dog, Rose, loves to come lay right next to you and then snore and have her dreams. I'm like, Brandon, I always freak out that something's wrong, like that it's a nightmare or something like that. And so I will like wake her up. This morning, though, I was very busy. And so I just was like, fuck it. I don't know what's wrong with you, but you're going to have to stay there. I hope you're fine in dream world.
Doggy dreamland. Well, it's fun. So you're going to hear a lot about my animals, I guess, going forward, because this is all I've got these days. I have a big basket that I have next to my recliner, and it's got my Halloween blankets kind of in there, and the cat will climb in. But she's a big cat, and this is a tall basket. It's really hard for her to get in it. And what she'll do is she'll get her front paws in, and then she'll just stand there. So her front part is in, the back part is out, and she won't try to get in the whole thing until I hold the basket. She knows when she puts her paw on the backside, it's going to flip.
That's really smart of her.
And she's a cute, grumpy cat. So I put the basket next to my desk, but she'll only come to the basket when I'm sitting down. Now, my desk is my bar-style kitchen table, so I'm standing all day long, which is actually phenomenal. It is amazing.
I've started standing a lot at work. I don't have a stand-up desk, so it's contributing to all my neck issues. But yeah, I was like, man, I need some fucking exercise.
Yes, it's been so nice to, at the end of the day, my lower back not hurt. Like, I really feel a lot better from standing all day.
Yeah,
same. But check this out. So I also decided I'm going to slip in some exercise while I'm doing this too. So, I just mentioned that my cat won't get in her basket unless I'm sitting down. I'm not really sitting down anymore. So she just sits and glares at me from the living room like, I don't know if you've seen these before when you were at Walmart, but they have these like twisty boards. You're supposed to just kind of stand on them and twist from side to side.
Oh.
I mean, they come in like multiple colors, and I don't know if that's supposed to just grab your attention so that you buy the color that you like or whatever. But I bought it maybe 3 years ago when I was still working at the company, like 7 minutes away, so I could come home and just like twist on my lunch break. Now I'm standing at my stand-up kitchen table, and I have my yoga mat, which also was not getting used. On top of it, I have a piece of cardboard, and now I have the twisty board. So I'm sitting there trying to type out as many emails as I can while I'm twisting.
This is fucking impressive.
I'm so proud of myself. I love the stand-up desk. I love it even more because I've incorporated like a little bit of an exercise. Like I feel it in my stomach too. After twisting for like an hour, I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, I bet you would. That is so impressive. I, at one point, realized that sitting on my ball, that I could kind of lean back and it would work my core. So I was like, I'm going to do that more often. Nope. I just don't think about it. I only randomly think about it and then can only do it for like 2 minutes or something, and then I give up. So now that I'm standing, I'm like, I can get in kind of like a squat position, but not too much where I look weird to everybody walking by, but just a little bend. And then again, I just forget.
I get it. It's easy to do when you're in work mode to actually like forget about doing something else. So this twisty board that you stand on, it's got an arch. So your feet are kind of up at an angle. I'm wearing sneakers all day long so that I can actually use the twisty board. But a lot of times I'll realize that I've just been standing on the board with my feet arched because my pinky toes are starting to go numb. I'm like, oh, damn, I guess I need to get off of it. I must have not been twisting for a while. Meanwhile, my cat is glaring at me from the living room again.
She's like, well, you just sit the fuck down. I need in my basket.
So that's all that I've had going on these last few days, and it's probably all you're going to hear about from this point forward. So would you like to hear my story?
I love to hear your story. Also, real quick, if I had to work from home, I don't know if I'd get anything done. I talk to those fuckers all day long. I stopped in the middle of writing. I told you I was working really hard on my podcast, which I was. This was only like a 3-minute break, but I took a break to listen to a song, pull up this thing on my computer where I can see myself. I wanted to see if my dance moves look as bad as I think they do. And so I was dancing in front of it. And then I pick up the cat and I make her dance with me. Aww. And I'm talking to the dogs. I recorded both the dogs this morning and the cat. And I'm just like, I'd never get anything done if I had to work from home.
But see, that's also such a positive because it's like, it's so entertaining, you know, that you can be with your animals and just be happy in the moment and everything else just goes away.
They fucking love it. They just follow me around the house all day.
They're waiting for you to bust out with some more dance moves. They're like, I know that one. Oh, this is a new one. Look.
Nobody else thinks I'm entertaining, but they do.
I wish that my animals, well, okay, Pandora might think I'm entertaining. Lexi, she just wants cookies. She's not interested whatsoever. And I told you, she's already very annoyed by the fact that I'm keeping her up during the day. So.
But anyways, so sorry to interrupt.
Well, I did say that's all we'll be talking about.
Oh, yeah. And I'm not even working from home. You're not supposed to go anywhere if I went anywhere. I don't.
Well, all right then. So I've got something very interesting to tell you about. A short time ago, I mentioned that we received a request on Instagram to do the story on Turin, the city of magic. That's not your story, is it?
It is. No.
You perked up right when I said that. I was like, oh, shit.
No, just because, well, it's been weeks since people threw out these two ideas, but I totally remember which one's mine. And I did look into it, and I was like, for laters, you know? So it's just awesome that you got around to it because I didn't get around to mine.
Well, this was a crazy, crazy, crazy story. And I mean, what I'm going to give you is just bare minimum because this could go on for months. This story is so deep.
I am so excited because I have no idea what this is.
Oh, man. And you won't be any closer to having an idea when I'm done with you. I'm just going to scratch the surface here. So this story came to us, well, this idea was thrown at us basically from the user by the name Anna HR 1803. And I want to thank you, Anna HR 1803, because before your suggestion came in, I had never even heard this story. And this place is quite historic and extremely interesting. And it really gave me a Da Vinci Code type of a vibe.
Ooh, I like that.
It's out there, man. It's good. I feel like I'm about to give you a very historic tour on the City of Magic. I'm super excited to tell you all about it, which, as usual, when I'm overly excited to tell you my story, I write it ridiculously long. I apologize on the front end. To start out, I need to introduce you to esotericism. I think that's how you pronounce it. I haven't heard anyone say this, so I didn't go to search. Usually I do. But there's so many words in the story that I gave up.
I could sympathize with that. But get this. I've totally heard that word before, and you are saying it right.
Thank you. Excellent. I'm so excited. So that word, the word esoteric, comes from the Greek esotero, meaning inner or within. The term was first used around 166 CE, Common Era, by Lucian of Samosata in reference to Aristotle's inner, esoteric, and outer, exoteric teachings. The word was later used to reference any teachings designed for an inner circle of disciples. Having esoteric knowledge means basically having a hidden knowledge, or knowledge that is only available to a select few. Esotericism also refers to the myriad ways in which the secret knowledge has been transmitted throughout the centuries: philosophy, literature, art, symbols, etc. This sort of knowledge cultivates an awareness of the inner workings of the self and of reality in general, and it can only be accessed confidentially. So basically, you have to either know someone to get the stuff or study up on it and learn the key texts and have your own personal revelations through it. Okay?
I am trying to follow you. It's a secret club.
Yes, like I said, Da Vinci Code. You're going to have to crack the code. There's a lot of codes here. So put on your Sherlock Holmes hats. Get ready for this one. Tradition has it that Turin, the capital of Piedmont, is a magical city in Italy. Experts in esotericism believe that Turin is really the only magical city that exists.
Ooh.
This is it.
All you other fuckers are posers.
I disagree. I think Salem is a very magical city. But this is due to it being the only city where a vertex of the triangle of black magic coexists with that of white magic. Finding itself at the center of good and evil, esoterical powers, Turin has become part of both the triangle of black magic, which is formed by Turin, London, and San Francisco, and that of white magic with Turin, Lyon, and Prague. And specific locations all around the city are associated with amazing stories and legends all related to the supernatural. In fact, these legends are so ancient that the whole city has been regarded as this great mysterious place. And according to many interpretations, this conflict between the forces of good and evil has influenced a lot of the architecture of Turin over the centuries. But going back to what I said in the beginning, you really have to know what to look for when scoping out some of these amazing ancient sites. Otherwise, it's going to go right over your head, right? Like, oh, that looks neat. But also at the same time, there's so much to take in that I think that you'll see something and then see something and then see something and then see something. Like, it's just too much.
Yeah, well, 100% for people like us. Born and raised in the States, we've not seen places like this before. So we're going to oogle at the fucking gas station probably. It's all going to look beautiful and magical to us.
Oh, yeah. I feel like when I was reading that and they're like, you got to know what you're looking for. I'm like, yeah, I buy that because I wouldn't even know where to begin. I'd be standing in the middle of this magical city, like spinning, like, I don't know, in a movie where you just see like, it's just nothing but like, what is it, like 360? Like my mouth would be agape. I'd be drooling. You'd hear the angels singing from above. Like I wouldn't even know where to begin. Well, first of all, the Piazza Castello is the supposed black heart of the city. Here, you are said to find the gates of hell.
Don't really want to find those, but good to know to avoid.
Yeah, good to know to avoid. Going back to Roman times, this was the site of a necropolis, which is an ancient cemetery. Many, many, many years ago, the Romans would execute those who had been sentenced to death here, and later it was the site of Turin's gallows. But it is more well known for the Theban Legion massacre. This was a Roman legion of 6,666 men, also known as the Martyrs of Aganom. What a just exactly weird number to be.
Greg wanted to join, and they're like, nope.
Oh,
We have our devil's number. Back off.
all right. Well, Greg was lucky because it didn't work out so well for these guys. The 6,666 men were also known as the Martyrs of Aganom. They were all massacred in the area in 286 CE. These soldiers had refused to accept the orders of the emperor, which was to offer sacrifices to the Roman gods in hopes of gaining success in their mission. So the legion's refusal to participate in those rites didn't go over so well with the emperor, and he ordered the entire legion to be decimated. The condemned would then be buried in the necropolis beneath the piazza. Before they met their end, they would be given their last rites at the... Here we go, guys. I'm going to try Chiesa della Misericordia in the nearby Via Barbaro. I apologize.
Excellent. You're doing so well by my standards.
Thank you. There, you can still see the register of their names, the black hoods they were forced to wear, and the bicerin, or the small cup from which they took their last drink, as well as the hangman's noose and crucifix. And we're just beginning. The district next to the Piazza Statuto was named Valdoccio, which in Latin translates to the Valley of the Slain.
A lovely city. Death, death, death.
Oh, yes. That's why I'm trying to uplift my voice whenever I'm mentioning how bad this really is. The name is said to also most likely refer to its position, which is towards the west and the sunset, or the realm of the underworld. I can just imagine asking for directions in this town. Like someone's like, yeah, swing left at the necropolis and then head straight down towards the realm of the underworld. And Wendy's is right there on the right. You can't miss it. Like you were talking about gas stations earlier. And I'm like, just give me the chili. So the square itself was designed in 1864, and in 1871, Count Marcello Panisera, president of the Accademia Albertina, designed the Phra Fountain, which still stands at the square's center today. Officially, the monument pays tribute to the workers who died while building the Phra Tunnel, though many feel that its intent is actually much more sinister. The Phra Fountain consists of a mountain of quartzite, which was extracted during the construction of the Phra Tunnel, and it displays a group of human figures climbing up that mountain towards an angel that sits on the top. The esoteric interpretation of the monument points out that because the angel on the summit is black while all the other figures are white, and that the position of its arms appear to be posed in a stance of refusal, that this is meant to block anyone who might try to climb the mountain. This interpretation of the fountain is supported by the fact that on the head of the angel also rests a black 5-pointed star, suggesting that the mountain does not actually represent the obstacle to France being removed by the work that the men had done, but rather the mountain of Eden, and that the angel is Lucifer engaged in making it as difficult as possible for anyone attempting to climb to heaven. It is certainly bizarre that the angel does not look towards France, which had only been brought closer by the Phra Tunnel. That's the, monument that's said to be a tribute to all of those who died while making the tunnel. But it is instead pointed towards the Via Garibaldi, which leads to another magical point in Turin, the Piazza Castello, or rather the center of white magic.
How did people even buy the story that this was a monument to those that built this tunnel? That's a fucking strange monument for people losing their life doing a duty or a job. Yeah, no, that's not how you do it. It's usually like a wall with people's names on it or something like that.
So what I thought too.
Not fucking the devil angel standing there being like, nah, bitches. That's a deeper meaning. That's a different meaning.
And that's where the esoteric knowledge is also being pointed towards. It's almost like an undercover thing, right? You look at the piece of art and you're like, yeah, the artist was sad when he painted that. But then you can also look at that art and say, whoa, he had some demons that he was fighting, right? Right. So this was made out of the quartzite that those people had removed and also died over. Okay, that's a little sinister. And it's also like, instead of the angel welcoming them up to heaven, he's like, nah. He's got his hands down. So yeah, I don't know. The guy that maybe made this, maybe he was drinking with the president at the time, and he's just like, yes, it's going to be a beautiful statue. You wait and see. And the guy's like, yeah, okay, let's have some drinks and let's make it. And then they put it up, and then the president's like, well, shit. We're going to have to stick with that story. Because, why did you have to put the star on top of his head? Come on.
Yeah, that was somebody with their own idea. And they were like, fuck it, I'm going for it.
Or maybe he sold the idea, the vision, this is what I'm going to do. And they're like, yes, yes, yes. And then afterwards, like maybe he put up a bunch of curtains around it so nobody could see until the big, finale. Ta-da, it's there. And then now it's done. So it's like, well, it's there. And we spent all this money. We can't do anything about it.
Exactly. I paid for it. So I'm going to spin it. That it was always supposed to look like that. Right. Don't you get it?
Yeah, there's some darker meanings to a lot of the stuff going on here at Turin. And this is why I think I love this place so much. So the borderline between good and evil is down the Via Garibaldi in the Piazza San Giovanni. This is where the cathedral stands and where the Holy Shroud has been housed since 1587. Research suggests that the cathedral is the first outpost of white magic due to the significant image that has been found on one of its walls. This, however, does not stand out, but you can find it if you know what to look for. So from a particular angle, what appears to just be another plaque on the wall, there is one that actually bears an arrow surrounded by the signs of the zodiac. The symbol that appears above the arrow is that of Capricorn, which is considered to be the first positive sign because it starts on December 23rd, just after the winter solstice. From that moment on, the days start getting longer, nature is reborn, and the era of the Cathedral of Turin really does appear to indicate symbolically that what is to its right belongs to the realm of the light, while everything to the left is all darkness.
Does that mean the later zodiacs are dark compared to the earlier zodiacs? Like you and me are okay, but those scorpions...
Okay, then yes. Stay away from Scorpios. No, I take that back. That's probably like half of our listeners, and they just turned us off. No. Come back. We love you.
Well, how could you not love a Scorpio?
I can give you a few. No, never mind.
But I mean, they suck you in,
They're just fun.
So full of themselves.
They are, and I don't know what I love most about them. The fact that they hold a grudge worse than anyone I've ever met in my entire life. They're very fun. It's not that they have to get the last word. They just want to be proven wrong. If you can, go for it. And it's fun when you can. No. They're a good breed. I know quite a few Scorpios, actually, not just my husband. If you couldn't tell. That's why I'm laying in thick. But just going back to what you were bringing up here, I think just in terms of the way that the city is laid out, they're saying that on one side is more of the dark area, and then on one side is more of the light. So you've got the white and the dark, like Jedi and the Sith.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Now, just a few yards to the east, you'll find Piazza Castello. Now, this one has a few twists, as if this whole story doesn't. So just bear with me. Legend has it that Maria Christina of France, the daughter of Henry IV, decided to build the Savoy Castle in that particular place over a set of magical caves on the advice of master alchemists. Can you imagine being advised by master alchemists? I mean, no, because on a regular, I'm getting my advice from my cat. But this one, she's got master alchemists. I wonder what she would be asking. What should I make for dinner?
She's like, what should I do today?
Uh-huh.
What's my next crafting project? And he's like, I got something for you. And she's like, it came from the word of this wise person. Yeah, so it's important.
It's just phenomenal. I would have loved to have had that as my hang up for the day. Well, Master Alchemist says blah, blah, blah. So, I got to do what he says. That's the... That's the hiccup. Not that, I got to get dressed and go to work today. So the Grotte Alchemy, which is super fancy or most likely Italian, for Turin's Alchemic Caves. Whew. I swear, just throwing in all these Italian words and then having to put English back on top, my brain is just getting super confused.
Yet I think you're doing amazing.
Thank you.
How does she know this?
I'm just struggling over here. This is definitely not a podcast I should be drinking while doing it at the same time. So these are all said to be situated right underneath Palazzo Madama in Piazza Castello. These caves are supposed to be where the esoterical energies converging in the city meet and were used by the royal alchemists of the Turin court, who spent much of the 1700s attempting to discover the exact location of the Philosopher's Stone. But before you all don your sweet Indiana Jones style hats and whip, you do need to know that there are 3 tunnels all supposed to lead you there, and they're all almost impossible to find. This is due to the massive load of underground tunnels and secret passages that have all been created in order to confuse people and protect these special caves. So, if you were lucky enough to find one of them, it said you would see your thoughts, hopes, and your fears materialize. And poor Prince Umberto of Savoy did manage to reach the first cave, and once there, he came face to face with his own biggest fear, being assassinated. And he was killed in Monza shortly after that. So, it's like...
But wow, I'm digging these fucking caves. First of all, you know, Indiana Jones style, there's probably snakes down there in at least one of the tunnels, I'm sure.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So watch out for that, guys. So you're saying he went down there and he saw his fear, but he made it out.
Yeah, he did.
So, like, he found nothing, you know, like, he didn't go in the right tunnel, I guess.
I mean, who knows? He might have not brought enough water or food with him, so he's like, okay, this one, I'm going to come back. He turned around.
Have I ever told you how many hikes we've been on that we expect it should only take this long to get to this point, and then when we don't get there in the time manner that we think that we should, we're like, we must have went the fucking wrong way. And we'll like sit down, debate for too long whether we should turn back. Somebody will walk by and we'll be like, do you know, are we going in the right? And they'll be like, yeah. And we're like, oh, we're just being lazy asses. So,
meanwhile, you're all sitting there, you look disheveled, and you're trying to decide which one's the weakest and gets to get eaten first, right? But you made it out safe. I mean, and maybe that's what happened with this guy, right?
Right, obviously. He probably went half a mile in and been like, I should have been there already. And he turned around because it's getting late and he didn't eat a proper breakfast and, you know.
And that could be why he, instead of realizing that his biggest fear had materialized, that maybe he was hallucinating because he had some spoiled eggs or something. He's just like, oh, I gotta go. So it seems that after the death of Christina's husband, she was made privy to the super secret location of the alchemists' caves of Turin. In turn, she commissioned the castle, which was built between 1646 and 1660, which is again thought to be right over the top of those caves. But again, you got to really know someone or know your shit because there is a lot of controversy that surrounds this subject. Some experts have agreed and have actually placed the caves beneath Palazzo Madama, which does support Christina's story. But there are others that suggest the residence of the Savoys was there before Christina actually appeared on the scene and is actually a few yards away from the royal palace, not directly underneath it. So, I mean, who knows? I'd say go and visit and bring a shovel, but do you really want your biggest fears to materialize? I don't know. I mean, it can go either way. You could find them and be like, yep, there they are, found them, done.
But see, you gave those other 2 things that could happen to you too. That sounded awesome.
Right. And we don't know which order this comes in either. So you see your thoughts and your hopes and your fears materialize. So
thoughts and hopes, yeah.
Thoughts and hopes. You know, not necessarily the things that are going to come true. It's just the things that you probably desire, right? So you desire to be like a super famous paranormal detective or podcaster, and then you see all of that. And maybe you see that first, and then you're like, okay, good, I got it. And then get the hell out. So don't wait around to see what else happens.
Right. And that's like a really good dream. So I'd be like,
yeah, all about it.
I'm bringing my shovel.
So you're in for the win.
I'm in.
Going.
I see my fears all the time.
Yeah.
In dreams that I have. So I'm sure. Oh, wait, unless it gets really dark. Actually, never mind. I'm a big worry wart and I have kids. So never mind.
Well, I have an idea for you. So say that before you go, you convince yourself that your biggest fear isn't really like your biggest fear. Like my biggest fear is spiders. So like if I convince myself that my biggest fear is having a big house and a lot of money. Like, I'm terrified. I don't want to be super comfortable. You know, I don't know. Maybe you can trick yourself into this and you actually go and have a wonderful experience. You just got to be smart about this. You know, it's like the guy that finds the lamp and he always, you know, I wish for more wishes. And they're like, nope, you can't do that. I'm like, bitch, I wish for more genies. I mean, you got to outsmart the system. 3 wishes turned into 45 million. So in the book, Torino Città Magica from 1978, the writer Giuditta Dembich
Whoa.
Wow, I should have read that out loud a few times to realize. Oh, poor. The writer Giuditta Dembach. I'm gonna just add some suave into that one so that I don't make the same mistake 2 times. I really think it's dem bitch, but I don't know. It's all Italian, so it can't be. It's got to be something Italian sounding, right? So interviews Gustavo Adolfo Roll, who refers to himself as an alchemist.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he doesn't have a very magical name, but whatever. That's not his fault. He maintains that Turin really does have alchemical caves and that he knows exactly where they are. Of course he does. He's way into this shit. Plus, he's an alchemist. So just go and look him up.
Also, does he sell tour tickets or something like that? Of course he knows what he's doing. He's an expert.
He's the expert. But Gustavo says all of this because not only did Nostradamus hang out in Turin in 1556, but also it seems that these tunnels were discovered during an excavation for the reorganization of the city roads in the lead up to the 2006 Olympics.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, right? Although of uncertain interpretation, they do appear to start in the Corso San Marizio and head straight towards the Royal Gardens. So there is that. Cliffhanger. Now, the most auspicious point in Turin is said to be at the gates of the Royal Palace in Turin. Here you'll find the equestrian statues of Castor and Pollux, the Dioscuri twins of Greek and Roman mythology, and which represent the Gemini zodiac sign.
Sorry.
That's not
I just gave you a smile.
I like all the zodiac stuff that I was able to uncover. And like I said before, this is a story that I'm just, I don't know, scratching the surface on a lot of these locations. But I feel like there's so much more to deep dive into. And I bet it would all come back to zodiac stuff. That's why I really liked it. So the Castor and Pollux, their story goes that when Castor was slain in battle, Pollux begged his father to let him follow Castor into the underworld. Being so moved by Pollux's love for his twin, his father instead decided that the two would share the fate of life and death by spending one day on earth and the next in the heavenly abodes. Now, remember, this is like a Greek mythology time, so obviously I'm not that up to speed on those kind of stories, but I take it that from that story, Dad killed him.
Right, so that they can be together type
so
thing.
that, yes.
Yeah.
So I left it out because I saw conflicting information on who the father really was, but a Greek mythology god, so to speak. So he had the ability to allow them to both, join your brother in hell for however many days he has to spend down there, and then you both get to go to heaven. So he had the ability to make that happen. So now in Turin, their bronze equestrian statues were installed on the gates in front of the royal palace in 1841. And are said to guard an invisible line where the sacred and diabolical parts of the city meet. They represent the conflict between the darkness and the light, as indicated by yet another 5-pointed star, which rests upon the head of the twin on the right. So again, either the dude didn't learn his lesson from the first statue that he had done by artist. He got duped, or he's in on it. Because now we've got two, kind of sketchy things going on in this city. And you see it and you're like, what are we doing with these stars?
So they're feeding the tourists, the normal tourists, because we would be a tourist too, but more dark.
Uh-huh.
And the city that isn't into that stuff, this fluffy story.
Yes.
But they're also but there's the 5-pointed star,
Yeah. Mm-hmm. You just gotta keep your noses into it. Next, we have the Gran Madre de Dios Church, which was built between 1818 and 1831. Pay attention, guys. There's a quiz at the end of this. And the legends say that Turin was built by Phaeton, who was the son of Isis. And there are those who claim that the Gran Madre, or Great Mother, was built on and takes its name from the ruins of a temple to Isis. The church is positioned in such a way that at noon on the day of the winter solstice, the sun illuminates the upper facade and appears exactly at the top of the tympanum. Don't ask me what that word means. I assume it's just the points at the top. I don't know. It's the top of the tympanum above the colonnade. Along the triangular upper part of the Gran Madre, or on the pediment, bears the inscription Ordo Porpolisque Taurinus ab Aventa.
So basically, if this was Harry Potter times,
I know.
You would not be getting that spell, right?
No. Right. I would be terrible at reading those spells. I would definitely have to be like a tea leaf reader or something else. I am no Hermione Granger, for sure. Expectro, what does she say? Expectro Patronum?
Yep, that's exactly what she says. See, you're doing better.
All right. Well, I take it back. Had this been in Harry Potter, I'd probably get it right. But all of that I butchered is said to translate into the return of the Druid order of the Taurini. So it appears this place was also sacred to the Celtic population prior to the arrival of the Romans in Turin. And on either side of the steps, which lead up to the church, are the two statues of faith and religion, respectively. According to experts in esotericism, the latter points to the place where in Turin the Holy Grail is preserved.
Just for my purposes, can you repeat that? The Holy Grail is where?
Basically, if you look at where the statues are pointed, like you stand right next to, put your face right next to the face of that, and you look like where the eyes are, it's supposed to point you to where the Holy Grail is being preserved.
Oh, so I'm sorry, I don't know. My knowledge of the Holy Grail is probably coming from Monty Python and no further than that. So is it being preserved somewhere in this town?
The Holy Grail has not been found.
So kind of like it's supposed to do that.
Right.
It's a secret place.
Yes.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure.
No, you're right.
I did not know if it was actually on display somewhere.
Again, that's the experts in the esotericism. That's their... Because basically it's like the slingshot effect. You go from this point to this point based on the way that things are pointing. You go from that point to this point, and this one leads to nothing. So it's got to be pointing you to something, according to these guys.
So we'll throw in the fucking Holy Grail,
right.
That nobody knows where it's at. Yeah.
Exactly. It could have been a fucking toilet, and there...
It's underground on the other side,
And quite apart from any speculation about the architecture of the city, it is certainly true that demons and sculptures with monstrous features can be found on many buildings near doors and windows, as thought to repel intruders or evil entities. But again, these are all things you have to be on the lookout for. So, look, basically, everything in this town comes full circle. You see it. It's very easy to connect all these dots, especially when there is so much history and ridiculous architecture, which continuously seems to point that there is an ulterior motive behind its construction.
Yeah.
And as you can see, this isn't the kind of story that is open and shut. Around every corner, there is another fascinating link to the magical city or the light versus the darkness. All that has been said and written about Turin and its relationship with the occult is so deep and so well preserved that those believing in the magical characteristics of the city say her origins and her geographical location have allowed Turin to always be this hub of occult energies. But magic isn't the only thing this historic town is known for. There is also a plethora of haunted locations and ghostly stories, too. I mean, Turin has been around forever. I'm not even exaggerating. You just heard the story and all the damn dates I gave you. So yeah, there's lots of ghosts. And I didn't even have to go this route. But like I said, if I spent any more time just going deeper and deeper into this magical city, I would never come out. Like I said earlier, I'm working from home. So people are texting me like, what are you doing? I'm like, I can't tell them that I'm looking into the magical city of Turin because they're going to be like, why? What's wrong with you? You don't understand. It's speaking my language. It's very deep. So let me move on and tell you about this little awesome place. Palazzo Trucci di Levaldigi. It's also known as the Palazzo del Diavolo, which translates into the Devil's Palace. I can say those words. This is a wonderful palace in the city center, and it has a dark legend that says that at one time an apprentice wizard tried to summon Satan there, which apparently, offended by this arrogance, turned him into the ornate door that you'll see now upon the front of the building.
Wait, you can't say those things and not give me a second. First of all, apprentice wizard, love it. But you mean you fuck up and you get turned into a fucking door? Like, not a newt, not a whatever, like a door?
You know what? Look, he summoned Satan, and Satan wasn't like proud of him. Satan was like, man, fuck this shit. So he must have been like watching his game or something like major was going on, right? Maybe he was on the toilet. And he's like, you cannot do that ever again. Dude's like, no, I promise I won't ever do it. And Satan's like, no, obviously you know how. You've been trying to get me forever. You're going to do it again. Boom, you're a door. I don't know. That's all he got out of the deal.
That's a punishment, man. Satan is fucking smart. Who wants to be a goddamn door?
It's a pretty nice door. Just gonna say.
Okay. So everybody oohs and ahs and is like, that's so pretty. But I mean, like, people are constantly putting their hands all over you and slamming and all this. And
right now is a really bad time to be a door.
100%.
Really. So yeah, and maybe Satan knew that. He's like, guess what, guy? So yeah, that's one of the legends. Another legend of the same palace regards the time of the French occupation. And when a French nobleman was tasked with moving some important documents, he simply disappeared at the very moment he set foot in the palace. Oddly enough, a skeleton was found within the walls of the building many years later during renovation. And I only left that part in because Wendy recently mentioned stories of people disappearing into thin air on her podcast not too long ago. So I was just like, oh, everything connects. Wendy was just talking about this. And I had told her that, like, I was just going to be deep diving into Angie Cooney Lake ever since that moment. So, like, when I read that, I was like, oh, this is my reminder. I need to go back and dig some more.
Right. Yeah. And I was totally like, wait, where'd he go? But then you say bones in the wall. I'm like, okay, air quotes, he disappeared.
Yeah. So, yeah, maybe the documents that he was bringing with him were some sketchy documents that might have been setting somebody up. I don't know. And they just took care of that problem right away. I wonder if the documents were found in there with the skeleton. It didn't say.
I'm certain they weren't. They ganked that shit.
They took that. Yeah, they set that ablaze and took care of him.
But who is he that they have to hide him in the walls? Like, fucking burn him or bury him or whatever. Is somebody looking for him? Seems like an odd place to store a body.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it happens all the time. You go and like watch, some of those murder stories, or you'll hear about some of these people being walled up or sealed in the concrete.
Right. That is true. Oh, okay. So they don't kill them and put their bodies there. They did it. Oh, I'm silly. Yeah, I got it now.
I mean, I don't know. In other time periods, people would actually be like walled up or buried with a treasure, so to speak, so that their ghost would remain and would haunt the location, as a like an omen or a booby trap, but it's a ghost. I don't know, what could a ghost really do? I mean, you can't turn into a demon by being walled up.
You can if you're really pissed off about it. No, I really don't know.
All right. And then there is this other quaint little story related to the palace that during a masquerade ball in the 1700s, a ballerina was stabbed to death, but I know. And why? First of all, them shoes ain't comfortable, so don't take her out. I know, right?
They practically have to lose toes to fit in those shoes and to do these dances. Did you ever watch that? Oh, what was it called? Black Swan, Dark Swan, something.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
But no, I never saw it.
So what's that? Natalie Portman and Mila Kunis. That's probably not how you say her name. But yeah, it was a fucking crazy movie. And no, don't pick on them. They already have enough problems.
Yeah, I was actually bothered by this story, and it's funny. You went there immediately, too. Like, what? So So this poor ballerina who was stabbed to death, but neither the culprit nor the weapon were ever found. And since this time, people have reported hearing odd, unexplainable noises and have seen items moving around the building. Today, the building is a bank and has the highest turnover of night guards in the city.
I want to go there and be a night guard.
You know what's funny? I came across this story when I was looking for more stuff on Turin, and this was on Reddit. And this one lady was just giving out all this juice. She's like, yeah, this bank is haunted, this bank. And then you just find the bank actually leads you down this path of finding out all of these other juicy tidbits of stories. But she wasn't really even interested in all of the rest of the stuff Turin had to offer. She was just all about this haunted bank. So that's kind of cool. Mm-hmm. If you move to Turin, this is the bank where you need to be banking at, folks. Go get your safety deposit box in the basement. I don't know. So there's that stuff, which is all a part of the common things that you are sure to find while you are looking up haunted places in and around the City of Magic. But I found a few more that are a little off the beaten path. And of course, I had to include them in my story because I told you already it was lengthy, so why not?
What else are you guys doing? We all have plenty of fucking time.
I know, right? Well, this one I loved so much because it's a sweet little medieval castle. It's called Montcalieri Castle, and it's for sale. So, look.
Let me get my castle money out.
I know. And I always bring up places that are haunted and for sale. I'm always looking at real estate. And no, this is not how I find my stories. I know I see the pattern here, but I have to tell you that it makes me more excited to know that something great could possibly be on the horizon with these places that I find that are both haunted and for sale. It's not like I'll be buying them myself. For starters, I don't know Italian, clearly, and I don't have the money that it takes to buy a castle, like you just said. Get your castle money ready. And even though, yes, we'll be getting that stimulus money soon enough, I don't think it's going to be enough for me to get that castle. But for those of you who might be interested in this unique one-of-a-kind find, then boy, oh boy, you're in for a treat. Because this medieval castle is said to be complete with a ghost and a hidden treasure. Why not?
If you could just get in there to find the treasure so you could buy the castle.
Right? Good plan. Okay, so keep that train of thought. Because you could buy it in its current state at 600,000 euros. So that's not too pricey for a castle, but you could also pay 1.2 million euros after it's been fully restored. So I'm guessing it's more of like the ruins of a medieval castle because there's a big price gap there. I mean, it's definitely a fixer-upper, and if you're into that sort of thing, go buy it and then find the buried treasure and then make it whatever you want.
Sold. I'll do that.
Yeah. According to the property listing, it says, although structurally sound, the building is in need of restoration.
Yeah, what fucking castle probably isn't?
I mean, right?
Though I watch a lot of House Hunters International, it can be very rough.
Ooh, really?
Like, sometimes they're shown on properties that are basically just walls.
I think that's what you're going to get here with this one.
Yeah, no kitchens, no bathrooms, none of that mess. You know, just a shelter.
Just a shelter, I think, yeah. Well, so it's kind of off because the description also says it has a rooftop terrace, a cellar, a medieval courtyard, defensive perimeter walls, and a large garden. So it could be a very creative spin that the broker has laid out for you.
No, I could totally see that. Those can all still just be walls.
Right. And this real estate broker also wrote my new favorite tagline for everything that I'm going to use for the rest of my life that I'm excited about. He said, or she, there is also a generous slice of intrigue for potential buyers. I just thought that was so, like, could you see that in like fancy script as like a tattoo? Generous slice of intrigue. Totally getting that. And they continue by saying, unchanged since the times of warring knights, dances, and banquets. Legend has it that the building contains a ghost and a hidden treasure. Numerous witnesses claim to have seen a mysterious ghostly figure floating around the ancient castle and its gardens, while the hidden treasure is thought to lie in the secret tunnels underneath the structure, of course. That's right. The tunnels, they're still here. And hopefully you haven't already put away your Indiana Jones hat because beneath the cellar, a 20-kilometer tunnel is rumored to lead you directly to the Alchemist's Caves directly underneath the Royal Palace of Turin.
Well, fuck. Can we get our castle money together? You and
I know.
me.
Just think about it. A stimulus package is coming. I mean, we've got that sweet Etsy store. So
The Spirit Emporium, guys. Please follow us.
right.
Please shop.
Follow us.
I promise you we'll invite you all to the castle housewarming party.
Right. We just have to get started on changing our mindset to discover a new biggest fear so that it's not like a legit fear. Just in case we hit that tunnel, we have to be prepared for it.
Got it.
So I have one more castle for you before I end this little magical mystery tour. Now, this one is not for sale, but this one is the piece de resistance when it comes to haunted castles in Turin. The Castello della Rata is the most, air quotes, haunted place in the province of Turin. Even though this should have been called a fortress, it is in fact a manor house. But not everyone knows that it's considered a haunted place. That's stupid if it's the most haunted place in Turin. How is there one single person that doesn't know about it?
Secret haunted place?
It's a secret.
It's like that cool thing where it's like, this is underground and nobody knows about it, but actually everybody knows about it because it's just trendy to pretend like you don't know about it. That type thing. I got you. I got what they're saying. The most. That's why you said air quotes.
Air quotes, yeah. Oh my God. So the Castella della Rata rests between the provincial road 393 of Villa Stellona and the motorway to Turin, surrounded by beautiful views and the three rivers that Turin is known for, the Po, the Stellone, and the Banna. And yeah, there's a whole lot more story behind the rivers. I just decided to skip it for the benefit of keeping the story under at least an hour and a half, maybe. I don't.
Got it. Everything is magical that you touch, apparently.
Yes. Exactly. Everything is magical or has some kind of darkness or light to it. The building was meant to be a way to prevent agricultural products from being stolen and a way to defend the families from any sort of an attack. Unlike today, in the 15th century, the castle was an almost uninhabited area. So now it's really built up around there. So that, again, there's like one or two people that didn't know it was haunted. Come on. They must be new. So, and to be fair, no one really has the scoop on this castle's name. According to some, the term Rata may refer to the military defeat, but other theories suggest that it's possible to find references to the bursting of the banks of these nearby rivers, or even to the ship's route or rota in Italian. There is very little information even about this period which the castle was built. Some people believe it may have been a destination for the Templar Knights in the 12th century.
I want to ask you who they are.
Ooh, stop it! What? The Templar Knights, they were charged with the protection of the Holy Grail.
Oh.
So they are, because I watch Curse of Oak Island, like as soon as I see that in any story, I'm like, tell me, where are they? Where have they been? So I saw Templar Knights. Of course, I saw Holy Grail and all this other stuff too. And I'm just like, man, how did this lady know that this was right up my alley? Maybe she's actually a listener of our podcast. And she's like, this dummy, Curse of Oak Island shit. She's going to love this one. So it is known, however, that the castle has changed its owners many times, starting with the Romans passing through the Lombardy and probably even through the Templar Knights. But by the time it reached the 80s, the fortress went under a major restoration, and now it appears in all its beauty. However, it seems that the construction, the restoration that I mentioned, might have been the cause for so many ghostly entities that have been making their presence known. Passing through several eras and different owners, the castle witnessed the deaths of many, the majority of which were just innocent people. According to witnesses, the spirits of valiant warriors are wandering around the castle. This idea was actually made more concrete when the body of one of these warriors was actually found. And he was apparently found buried with his horse. He was aged to have been living in around the 15th century, and he was wearing an iron cross around his neck.
Ooh.
Templar Knight. Just throwing that out there. This is our man. We found him. When the discovery of the body had been announced, the nearby villages were shocked, left speechless, mouth agape, in complete amazement. There are so many different ways to put how they reacted, and that is because for many, many years, the townsfolk had reported the sightings of a man who would ride a horse around the castle. Boom. That whole story about that castle, like, I just love it. Obviously, I got a little excited there because of the Templar Knights stuff, but I dig that sort of thing. These people that they claim this is the most haunted place in town, that's because they're seeing this spectral image, appear and just disappear. And then all of a sudden, while they're doing the renovations, they uncover the body of a man and his horse. Well, I guess it's not much of a body anymore, but they find him and he's got the cross. There's just so many different links, and it makes you want to look back at some of the other stories of the esoteric knowledge from Turin. If you had the ability to start digging some stuff up there without getting arrested because it's, a holy city and all.
Yeah, pretty certain they're not allowing that shit.
No, you got to get some serious permits. Not anything that I could afford or have the documentation. I don't have the credentials to come up there and be like, I would like to dig here, sir. We can make that happen, right? Right. And then you'll find my body walled up somewhere. So needless to say, the story spread like wildfire in a very short time, to the point that now the Castella della Rota has been deemed the most haunted place, not only of the metropolitan area of Turin, but in all of Italy. There are also several people who claim to have seen apparitions of different kinds, like a cardinal who is very intent on reading a book.
He's like, leave me the fuck alone.
I like that. That's his description, because they're like, sir. And he's probably just like, this is the good part.
I'm almost done with this chapter. Leave me alone.
And that's how I am, because it takes me forever to get through a book. And I'm like, no, I'm awake. Leave me be. So there's that guy. There's also a man that appears in black clothing and a nobleman. However, these sightings only started becoming widely spread around the 80s, which of course was at the time of the castle's restoration. So you remember that one's for sale. Just, keep that in mind. There's a possibility of more ghosts. So Italy, man, it's another place that we have on our paranormal bucket list. Clearly, not anytime soon will we be going, but maybe, in the coming years. Like, I've been talking to my work peeps right now, and I got my passport finally. And flights are actually pretty cheap right now. How about that? And all of this was actually before the shit really hit the fan. Just let me point that out, because obviously there are now places that you can't fly to. But I got to go to Scotland, Ireland, France, and now, of course, I have to go to Italy. I'm just so intrigued by all of these places. And yes, I know that Turin is known for housing the Holy Shroud. I get that. If it's actually on display at the cathedral in Turin, then I would have to see it, sure. Do you know what I mean by the Holy Shroud? My son didn't. It was almost like, oh my God, how are you my child? Do you not pay attention to anything? So I had to show him, the Holy Shroud, it's got the face of, Jesus allegedly on it. It was just shocking, because when this came about, maybe it was in the 80s, right? I was just like, wow, you can really see his face. And, there's all these people that they say, no, it's not. And then there are the true believers that say, yes, of course it is. So it's just another added thing to the magic of the city that is there that you can see. You can't touch it. I don't even know how close you can actually get to it. I don't even know if it's on display anymore. I mean, maybe they put it down in one of those caves. Who knows? But this location was just such an amazing place to look into. And like I said, I just barely scratched the surface. I cannot go into it any deeper than that, because you guys will get so sick of hearing about it. You'll be like, this isn't a Turin podcast. Where's my paranormal stuff? I don't know. But so back to Anna HR 1803. I hope that you got something out of this story that you didn't already know of, other than now you know how poorly I am at pronouncing a lot of these names and cities, historic places, and all of those things. But again, thank you for bringing this to my attention. It was a beautiful place to uncover.
Okay. I don't know what you're talking about, the Holy Shroud, though I do remember watching several, programs. It's before Josh Gates times.
Yeah.
That were here's the tomb and here's the wrappings that he was in. And
yes, that's what it is.
So it's just his wrapping, but his face is on it? Oh, because it would have wrapped his face. Okay,
Yes.
so yes, I do know what that is. I just don't remember them saying that his face was kind of imprinted on it.
And I should have clarified that too, but what is it that your brain does when you don't see a face? It's like matrixing, it makes you see a face in something. So that's where a lot of that kind of comes from too. I mean, I see it and I see a face, but again, I want to see a face. I was told there was a face here, so I'm looking for a face.
Yeah, well, you could see where there would be, I guess, too. It's very thin material that they use.
Yeah.
Very much kind of like paper, but not.
Yeah.
And maybe that's not the best description for it. But I mean, a body that they had just washed and everything like that, and then they wrap it up. But yeah, I had seen some stuff about these are the articles of Jesus, basically, and that they're on display. So I guess I do know what you're talking about.
So it's like gauze or something. But my Da Vinci Code story kind of turns into... Yes, exactly. Yes, mummy wrapping. It's a Da Vinci Code / Indiana Jones / Josh Gates, eat your heart out. I got it. But it's along those lines. And that's why, the story really blew my mind. I had a really hard time writing it because I would research one thing and then I would go straight down a rabbit hole. And I mean, you heard the story. There's 1,000 things that I just threw at you all in this podcast. So it took me a really long time to get that one together. And I wanted to get it out there quickly because, as I've said in a past podcast, if you bring something to me, it's probably going to take me a year to get back to you. So I wanted to go ahead and do this before I lost track of time again. So again, thank you for bringing that to me. I don't know if any of that is anything that you hadn't already heard. It was all brand new to me. So at least my mind was blown during the research of the story.
I've not heard any of this. I said it in the beginning. So, oh my gosh, thank you so much to her because this was an incredible story. And I understand that you say you just scratched the surface of it, but what you did is just open everybody's mind to multiple possibilities that they can look into. Okay, so you're only strictly into hauntings, then look up all the castles. There you go. Yeah. And then if you are into this darker, what the fuck was going on, all these hidden messages all over the place, then there's that to dive into. I mean, that's a lecture. That's like a whole class. That's a whole coursework to, unfold all the secrets this city has got. So I think you did awesome. And I'm fucking intrigued and feel like I'm ready for my Indiana Jones experience of us getting over there as soon as we can.
As soon as we can.
Safely to explore these things.
I know. That's where I am too. So every time we get the opportunity to explore something via story, I feel like I've partly been there. I know, obviously, I've never left the U.S., but I've only been there in the fact that I got to imagine it through the story, and it's an incredible story all on its own, and I just loved it. And I can't believe there's not a movie about this. If there is, then someone please write to me and tell me because I would love to see more about it. I just hope that it's, not one of those movies that put me right to sleep because I can sleep through some movies, just to let you know.
It's a fascinating story, though, so I'm certain it would grab your attention. And I totally get what you're saying about the kind of virtual tour to all these places. And shit, that's the only thing we can do right now. So what a fucking amazing place to go. This is extraordinary, and I enjoyed it. Thank you so much for sharing that story. And thank you so much to Anna what?
Anna HR 1803.
Awesome. You did
well.
Yeah.
So thank you. So if you have any more to add to the story of Turin, have you been? What did you see or hear or feel? Please write to us at creaturesofthenightparanormal@gmail.com or direct message us anytime, just like our listener / Instagram follower did. We are on Instagram under COTN_paranormal or on Facebook and Twitter under COTN paranormal. But if you didn't catch earlier on in the program, we don't just stop with paranormal stuff. Oh, no. We also are big into the metaphysical. We have procured our very own potions. Actually, bath bombs, soaps, and candles.
That counts.
That counts, of course. And we have them all on our awesome spiritual shop called The Spirit Emporium. You can find our store on Etsy as well as Instagram and Twitter. We post pictures of our products as well as a whole lot of other stuff. So if you're in the market for something a little different, which clearly you are because you're listening to our show, then please also visit our shop. The Spirit Emporium is also found on creaturesofthenightparanormal.com. Don't see what you're looking for? Let us know. We have lots of time on our hands.
Yeah. Share any ideas that you have. We are willing to listen.
And that's actually it. That's all I've got. So hopefully that was under 2.5 hours. I don't know.
No, you did well. I was fucking blown away with half the stuff you were saying that I didn't even follow, but I'm just like, fucking codes? What? Haunted stuff? Secret shit? Dark magic? Tell me everything.
I was on the fence of actually putting in the paranormal stuff because I'm like, this story is long enough. And I feel like it's one of those things where it's like, come on, Chris, you're already like, I'm still trying to take in the first part of your story. But I'm like, no, you have to hear this too. So hang in.
No, but when you're talking about a whole city or town, and then you realize that there's this haunted castle and that haunted castle, and you can buy this one. How can you not mention that? It's like, by the way, while we're touring the place,
right?
Just so you know, ghost over here, dark magic over here.
I know, right? You know, and I didn't even look to see how close Poveglia Island was to this, but I mean, I'm sure there's vineyards in the vicinity
along the way.
Along the way.
Which is all we need to entertain ourselves.
I know.
To get to point A to point B.
Right, exactly. So lots of planning for us to do for the future.
Love it.
So yeah, that's it. That's all I have. As always, thank you so much for listening to us, and goodbye.